Hi there, in this video I'm going to talk you through using the MasterMap data. This is quite a useful process. I'm going to show you how to get the MasterMap data into the geocatalogue and then explain how we can use it to recreate some other data as well. The first thing we want to do actually is to go over to our geodatabase, and what we're going to do first is to create a new feature data set. I'm going to call that Hello MasterMap. And again, I need to set the projection for this, which is British National Grid as always. Everything else I will just accept the defaults. And now we've got a location to store our MasterMap data. The reason we're creating that particular item is so that we can store it all in one place rather than having it all just kind of bunged into the geodatabase. And it's kind of like a holder really, a folder, a location for storing multiple features which have a similar or are connected together. So that's why we're using it here, because all of these MasterMap pieces of vector data are all connected, so they can go in one location. So we need to actually put them inside there, so we need to import them into it first. So what we're going to do, because we know there are multiple feature classes, we're going to go and import them, and we choose multiple feature classes to do that. So we now need to go and find them, so we should already have them in our original data folder, so I'm just going to browse to that location now. So if we go to original data, again this is Ordnance Survey data, and in the MasterMap folder I should have one called South. There we go. In fact, no, that's not right. There we go. So I'm going to insert these all in there, and then we simply just click OK. And what that will do is basically bring them all into the geodatabase and put them inside that feature data set. And that could take several minutes to do that. So you just have to sit and kind of be patient, and hopefully that it will all work smoothly. So we can now see that they're all sitting inside the... in fact, there we go. We've got a tick down the bottom there, and it's already automatically added them to the layer as well, which is something the software sometimes does and sometimes doesn't do, so it's really unhelpful. For this exercise, we're actually going to just be looking at extracting the shapes of the fields from this set of MasterMap data. As you can see, the MasterMap maps are made up of a whole series of different pieces of vector data, and we don't necessarily need all of them in this situation, so we're actually just going to be looking at I think it's all we need is the topo area, so I'm going to deselect these other ones just to make sure that we're going to be looking at the right one. So I think if we just leave topo area on and just double check, that is, yeah, that's the right one we need. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the polygons from the MasterMap, and then we're going to export them into their own separate feature class back into the geodatabase. It's only because we're focusing on this one particular area, and part of the reason for using MasterMap as our kind of base map is because it's the most accurate mapping we have in the country, and it really stops any errors creeping in, and it saves us having to also digitise the boundaries manually, so it's a quicker way to do things like that. We've got a tool up here called a Select Features tool, so we're going to use that to start selecting the polygons that we want to extract from this set of data. So we're going to select that. We also need to go along over to the top here and check the list by selection, and we just click that, and at the moment we'll see that all of the layers are potentially selectable, and in fact the layers that I've turned off have now become greyed out, which means that they wouldn't be selectable, but these little tiny icons give us the option to say whether a layer is or isn't selectable, so I can actually say I don't want that layer to be selected, and I can just toggle between on and off, and the other little icon here gives us the option to clear a selected feature, so So you'll see what happens as we start to make the selection. So I'm just going to zoom in a bit, and we're going to just make a few selections of some polygons, and you'll see what happens. So again, I need to just kind of flick back to the select feature tool, and again all I need to do in here is click, and it will become selected, and you'll notice up here that we've selected one polygon out of that particular layer. And if we want to select more than one, we hold shift down and we click at the same time, and that will let us select multiple features. And you'll see the numbers starting to go up there as we make the selections. So I've made a selection now of what the computer is telling me. I've selected 14 polygons out of that particular layer. So I now want to extract them or export them. And this is quite straightforward as well. So we need to click back to the list by drawing order. And it's the particular layer that we're selecting from we need to click on. So we need to right click on the topo area here, and we go down to data, and we're going to export the data. So by default it knows that we've made a selection, so it's saying that we want to export the selected features, which is what we want to do. And then it's telling us here, it's giving us an option to change the output class, feature class. Hopefully it will be pointing to the geodatabase that we've already created. If not, we can just browse in here and make sure it is. So I want to put it inside the Hadlow geodatabase, and I want to just rename it so that it's called something more meaningful than export output. So I'm going to call it Hadlow Fields. And at the bottom here I just need to make sure that it is actually doing what we want it to do. So what we're trying to do is trying to save it inside a geodatabase, and we want it to be a feature class, so we need to just make sure that that is actually checked. And then we just go save, and with any luck it will create, and we go OK, and then it will create the it will do the export. And now it's created its own separate feature class, and it's asking if we'd like to add that feature class to the map, and if we just simply say yes, it will have now added the polygons that we've exported, and in fact they've been separated out from the rest of the MasterMap data. So we could now turn off this MasterMap layer, and there we are, we're just left with the polygons that we extracted out of the MasterMap, which we could now use for the basis of another map, or we could do something else with.